Imagine a place where roads do not end at traffic lights. They end at sheer, vertical cliffs, dropping straight into a freezing ocean. Somewhere in the endless void of the North Atlantic, between Iceland and Norway, lies an archipelago of 18 volcanic islands. This is the Faroe Islands. Here, nature does not negotiate. Ocean waves blast against basalt walls, rising hundreds of meters into the mist. Storm winds sweep across the treeless landscape, so strong that waterfalls flow backward into the sky. The soil here is paper thin. The weather changes by the minute. Rain, snow, intense fog, blinding sunlight. All of it cycles in less than 30 minutes. On paper, this environment is uninhabitable, and yet exhales. 50,000 people call these storm-battered islands their home. Why build a life on the edge of the world? How do humans survive when nature leaves no room for mistake? To understand life here, look at the geography. 18 islands, shaped by ancient eruptions and thousands of years of ice. Mountain peaks cut through clouds like blades. They create deep, narrow fjords. Because of this steep terrain, building roads was impossible. Villages were completely isolated. For centuries, a neighboring village just 5 miles away might as well have been on another planet. Nature here created illusions. Lakes suspended hundreds of feet above the sea. Water falling directly off mountain edges. The North Atlantic collides with basalt walls, carving sea stacks that rise like dark monoliths. Giant rock pillars standing against endless storms. No trees block the view. No forests absorb the sound. Only raw stone, wild ocean, and open skeet. An environment shaped by ice and Faroe, untamed, and completely indifferent to human presence. The Faroe Islands were not shaped by humans. They were shaped by forces far older than civilization. Millions of years ago, powerful volcanic activity created layers of dark basalt rock. Then came the glaciers. Moving slowly across the landscape, they carved deep valleys, narrow fjords, and sharp mountain ridges. What remains today is a landscape built from fire and ice, a place where ancient geology still controls everyday life. But the true architect of these islands is the North Atlantic Ocean. For thousands of years, waves have attacked these cliffs without rest, slowly cutting away the coastline, creating sea stacks, caves, and hidden shores. The famous rock formations rising from the ocean are not monuments built by humans. They are reminders of a planet that is still changing. The Faroe Islands may look empty, but they are far from lifeless. Across these cliffs and valleys, an entire ecosystem has adapted to one of the harshest oceans on Earth. Every year, thousands of seabirds return to these islands. They nest on vertical cliffs, above waves that never stop moving. Puffins, guillemots, fulmars. For generations, these birds have followed the same invisible paths across the North Atlantic. The ocean surrounding the islands is not only a force of destruction. It is also the reason life exists here. Cold currents bring nutrients from the deep sea, creating rich waters where fish, birds, and humans all depend on the same fragile ecosystem. But survival here has always required balance. The same ocean that provides food can also bring storms. The same cliffs that protect seabirds can become dangerous walls of stone. For the people of the Faroe Islands, nature has never been an enemy to defeat. It is a system to understand. But geology alone does not explain life here. The real challenge comes from above. The Faroe Islands sit directly in the path of the North Atlantic weather systems, where warmer ocean currents meet colder air from the north, creating one of the most unpredictable climates in Europe. A calm morning can disappear within minutes. Blue skies can become endless gray. Clear horizons can vanish behind walls of fog. The wind is not just a background force here. It shapes the landscape. It bends trees that manage to survive. It controls when boats leave the harbor. And it decides when communities must wait. For people living here, weather is not something they check. It is something they live with. Every journey, every harvest, every decision begins with one question. What is the ocean and the sky allowing us to do today? Norse settlers arrived 1100 years ago. They found a wet, windy, treeless wilderness. Traditional farming was impossible. The climate was too damp and cold. They had to invent a new way to survive. Their houses were built from stone and timber, capped with living turf roofs. Grass roofs are not for decoration. They are an engineering marvel. The heavy soil anchors the roof against violent winds, while insulating against freezing rains. Without farming, life was a dance with gravity. Islanders raised sheep, animals tough enough for steep cliffs, where humans can barely stand. To get protein, hunters dropped down sheer cliffs on ropes, harvesting seabirds and eggs from nests. It was one of the most dangerous jobs in the North Atlantic. Every winter was a test. Storms isolated the islands for weeks. Supply ships couldn't dock. If fishing failed, famine was real. For centuries, geography controlled their lives. In the modern era, humans fought back. They did not give up. They drilled directly through the mountains. Decades of engineering created a massive tunnel network, carving through solid rock, deep beneath the ocean floor. They even built an underwater roundabout, lit up like a futuristic cathedral. A dangerous 8-hour mountain hike now takes 15 minutes by car. Yet, technology cannot erase nature. When winter tempests strike, winds reach gale force. Ferries stop, planes are grounded. The connection to the world breaks again. In minutes, modern life pauses, and ancient isolation returns. The islands remind us every day. Humans do not conquer nature here. We are only guests. Living here requires a unique mindset. In global cities, life is about speed. In the Faroe Islands, nature sets the rhythm. If a storm hits, plans stop. No anger, just acceptance. Because nature is wild, human bonds are tight. In a storm, the whole village becomes one family. Young adults go to Europe for university, but many return home. They say, "The world is too fast. Here, I can breathe." The world tells us to build bigger and faster. The Faroe Islands offer a different answer. 50,000 people live on these rocks. standing tall against the ocean. They prove we don't need to tame nature to build a home. All we need is humility, endurance, and community. Because the best stories are not in noisy cities. They live at the quiet edges, where maps end, stories begin.